Whiskey is the life of man, whiskey from an old tin can. So the song goes. I like to have a drink. As you can see, or may have noticed during my films, I have quite an extensive wine rack behind me, and to the side of it is a pine cupboard that has lots of spirits in it, and above and below, and in front has lagers and beers, and I also have some wine down there as well. So yeah, I have enjoyed a drink. I was once asked a question at a work conference, this was a couple of years ago, and they said to me, "Do you collect wine?" And I said, "No, I drink wine," which is perfectly logical to me. As a child, I grew up in an Italian household where there was always wine around. As a kid, I remember drinking wine with water in it or lemonade, and called it baby wine. My parents had really good parties. We had a galley kitchen, and it was cut off, so we had like a bar area and really good parties in this big veranda that we had at the back of the house. And I would have Babycham or Cherry B. I don't even know if they make those things anymore. And so I drank. As a child, it was never something that was frowned upon. But equally, it wasn't I was drinking every day. That makes me sound like a terrible child, and had terrible parents, and I definitely didn't have that. But it just wasn't something that was forbidden growing up. Into adulthood, I would enjoy a glass of wine, and I had my first pint of real ale back in the early 90s. I remember it well. It was Old Hooky by the Hook Norton Brewery, and I remember going out with the guy I was working for at the time for an after work drink, and he took me to his place behind New Street Station, which is now Central in Birmingham, in the basement of a hotel, and that's where I first had my first real ale. So I became a member of CAMRA. Got to support the real ale people, and went to quite a lot of beer festivals. I used to be fascinated by the names of some of them. There was a brewery down in Herefordshire, I think, called Team, and they had pints called This, That and T'other, which, yeah, made me laugh. Still does to this day, and I remember it. As I grew older, my tastes developed more, and I became a fan of this thing, single malt whiskey. This is one of my favourites, and is unopened. Also, I can't have it in the house without drinking it. It's not that I drink a lot. When I lived in London, my next door neighbour also liked single malt, and we could happily pass an evening drinking different malts that he'd got or I'd got, and the whole tasting, it was you'd pour it, you'd smell it, you'd savour it, and you could go a good 10-15 minutes without even sipping a drop. But I enjoyed my malt. I had given up alcohol several times before as part of my weight loss, and it was fine, no issue. I took great delight in being the solo non-drinker. But going to the pub and just having tonic water got a bit boring after a while. And then when I'd lost all of my weight, I started to drink regularly again. it helped me to switch off from whatever was going on in my life, and also helped me to sleep. And sometimes I would question, am I drinking because I want the alcohol or because I'm thirsty? In all fairness, it was the latter, but I did find myself questioning myself just because of something in my past, and alcoholism. Not me personally, but somebody around me. So yeah, I was drinking because I was thirsty, not necessarily needing it. And if it's not around, I don't drink it. But it is around, but I can still not drink it, if that makes sense. When I was with Jules, we would drink a fair amount of wine. It was one of the things we first bonded over, was our love of red wine. And during those early days of lockdown, it was something that helped me. And I continued with that. The night of the heart attack, which I've talked about before, I was at Jules's place, and I did stop drinking that night. Whatever was going on inside was scary, and I stopped. And then the night that I got diagnosed, which was 5 days later, I came home, and I think I said I opened a bottle of Moët, because I thought, if they're going to tell me I can't drink again, I'm going to go out in style. So I drank a bottle of Moët that night, and a bit of Prosecco. But it had been a scary day. Scariest day of my life, in fact. So yes, there's also the episode of the podcast. Remember I talked to you about a podcast I did a while ago with Jim called Hello You, and he talks about in his bio about me, about be more Tina and have a bottle of Moët. What they told me at the hospital was that alcohol wasn't off limits. I just had to stick to my 14 units a week. So I decided, yeah, that would be fine, no issue. I'd given up alcohol before. But I thought I'd try a different route this time. I didn't want to just be drinking slimline tonic water, and I wanted a social life, so I wanted to look at what the alternatives were. Now, this episode isn't going to be a review of alcohol-free drinks, because that's another episode if I choose to do it. This is about alcohol in this part of my journey. We had a shop in Shrewsbury called Dry, which I didn't know about until I was trying to find out if I could find alcohol-free whiskey. And we do have a whiskey shop in town, and they directed me down to Dry. It was great. I could go there and I could sample things, and it was disappointing, let's put it that way. I wasn't fussed about the beers, because there are some really good alcohol-free beers around, including Guinness, alcohol-free Guinness. I've said I'm not going to do reviews, but I'm going to make some exceptions here. Alcohol-free Guinness, to me, tastes like Guinness. It is fantastic, and they have nailed the market. Alcohol-free Corona, and is really good, and I have a supply in the house. So the beers and the lagers are there. They have cracked the markets. What I was trying in this shop was the other stuff, the rums, the whiskies, the wines, and I didn't find anything I liked. I found they were too sickly sweet, or they just didn't taste right. There's a particular gin which I've got the proper version of the gin. So when I saw it was an alcohol-free version, I bought a bottle. I was like, yay! And I remember trying it. I'd taken it down to Jules's and opened it, really excited. God, it tasted like soap. It was just disgusting. And I couldn't even finish the small glass which I'd poured, and the bottle is still in the kitchen. No, I just couldn't go there. Likewise, alcohol-free whiskies, I haven't had any success with. There was one thing which I bought, and I've got it here. It is non-alcoholic caramel cream, basically a fake Baileys. Now the shop in town closed down a year ago, so you can see how long I've had this. But I didn't rush home and open it, as you can see, because I looked at the back, and in 100ml there's 207 calories with, she says, trying to read without taking off her glasses, 28 grams of sugar. Wow. So a small can like this, 235 milliliters even, is 486 calories. Yeah, and 65.8 grams of sugar. And I should open it, I suppose, just to see what it tastes like. But it's not been waiting to do this film, it's just that I'm going to have a little bit now, but I know I'm not going to be able to drink the whole lot because I'd quite like to eat today. It smells like cream drinks. I could name the one. Yeah, Baileys. It smells like Baileys. It's not as thick as Baileys. It's so sweet. Oh, it is so sweet. Oh God, where's my coffee? Oh. Let me put that to one side so it doesn't get spilt or knocked over or anything. Well, that's as much of that I can have. Yeah. Oh. There were other fake drinks which I tried. There's a really nice ginger one. Then again, there's quite a lot of sugar in it. And it didn't taste any different from the ginger shots that I was making, apart from the fact that I had apple. What I do is in the morning I do a ginger shot, which is a good kick. As good a kick as a cup of coffee, really, where I put ginger, apple, and sometimes occasionally pear, or swap them over, some apple cider vinegar and lemon or lime, depending on my mood, and I just whiz it in the blender and either strain it if I want to mix it with tonic water, or just have it as it is, so you getting all the pulp of the fruit. So it's a really good kick up the bum. And that was effectively what was in this bottle of drink, this ginger thing, but at a fraction of the price. Wines you could do with, I think, Schlur or sugar-free Schlur and stuff like that, equally as tasty. So I really tried going alcohol-free, but came to the conclusion that I would rather have a couple of glasses of wine a week, of real wine, than be disappointed by the other things that were out there to drink. So that was my alcohol-free journey. Now it's a case of being careful with what I drink. I'm looking at how I can do things in a different way. I think in an earlier episode I made my own limoncello and limoncello. The thing that I missed out ingredients wise, because it's just 2 ingredients, it's lemon, limes and vodka, was the sweet stuff. So I didn't add any sugar or sweetener to it, or honey, because I figured if I gave it to people, or people wanted to try it, then they could add their own form of sweetness, be it honey or sweetener or agar syrup. So my conclusion is, if you want to go alcohol free, great, there are alternatives out there, but for me, I would rather sit with a nice glass of red wine and smell it just as I would with the single malt, and savour the smell and enjoy it, rather than going the alcohol free. So yeah, another part of my journey, but it's still an important one, because it is something that you have to think about when you're looking at the things that make you high risk of having a heart attack, because drinking is one of them. So 14 units a week are my friend. Don't have to drink every night, and what I drink I enjoy. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. It's a bit shorter than usual, but I think equally as informative. See you next time. Next time, I'm going to talk about a thing that we don't talk about, which is mental health. If you like what I'm doing, then it would be great if you could like, comment, subscribe, and share with anyone you think may find this interesting. Also, if you ring the bell, you'll get notifications when I upload my next video.